Alright, hello and welcome to RNGIDP. I am Craig, and tonight what I want to do is go over some of the standings, some of the statistics, and give you a recap of kind of what happened in game day 11. So you can't see my face. This is the disembodied voice of Craig. I'm trying something new tonight and I couldn't get the camera to work, so I'll have to keep working on that for next time. But for now, you get my voice, and hopefully that is enough for you tonight. So, alright, so let's look at what we got on the screen here. We have the standings, and so I have two leagues. I've told you before, the Kanto League, the Alola League. There's no divisions. There's no individual divisions within those leagues. And what I'm doing is I'm playing... each team plays each other team in the league twice. Once home, once and away. So that's 28 games in a 30-day schedule. So they get 2 off days. There's one team off every game day in order for the system to work. So that's why there's some inconsistencies as far as how many games have been played between some teams. Like you see, Miami has played 11 games. And Colorado's played 11 games, and others have played 10. So the way that these are working is it's based on wins. Well, win percentage first, but that won't matter at the end. Wins, and then we go to run differential. Run differential is basically the first tiebreaker. So in this league, when you're up big, you don't really take your foot off the gas. You keep going. And that's kind of what Pittsburgh has done. But most especially Boston. Look at their run differential is 33. If you look at Cleveland, they've been on the bad end of one of those blowouts, maybe a couple of those blowouts. Same for Colorado, negative 33 run differential. And then you look at a team like San Diego, who's not too far out of it. They've only scored 21 runs and they've given up 21 also. But they're only 2 games back, so it's not the end all be all. You still got to get those wins. So at the end of this, what we do is we take the top 2 teams. Right now, that would be Pittsburgh and Boston. So these 2 leagues are kind of happening independently. There's no interleague play. So Pittsburgh and Boston at the end of the season would play in a what I'm calling a championship series. So the championship series would right now be between Pittsburgh and Boston, who really have been. Atlanta too, Milwaukee's been good, but Boston definitely in the Alola League has been the best team by far. They would match up in a 7-game series. Well, what happens to the rest of the people? Well, I'm glad you asked. As I said in my last update video, I'm going to do what I'm calling the Cup, the RNL Cup. So all the rest of the teams are going to go into a single elimination bracket and then play for the Cup winner, the champion of the Cup. So that'll be further illustrated here. The top 2 and 3 from each league will get a bye into the second round. So right now that'd be Atlanta and Oakland on the left side here. Atlanta would match up with the winner of Minnesota and Washington. And as you can see, I've paired up the leagues so they'll all match up accordingly. One KL team versus one AL team. So I thought that was kind of a cool little wrinkle to add to this league, a postseason cup that everybody gets a chance to play in. And I don't know, it'll be cool to see how these teams match up since they haven't played each other all season. Also, one little note, in that cup, the higher ranking team will get the designation of whether it's DH or the pitcher is going to hit. So, for example, Minnesota against Washington, Minnesota is the higher seed, therefore Minnesota, they'd play under their rules, which is the DH. Now, in the case of in the championship game, if it's a 2 versus 2 seed or anything like that, whoever had the best record in the regular season will break that tie. All right, so that's one half. Anything interesting matchups here? San Diego and Chicago. Chicago is on a little hot streak after starting off the season pretty bad. They've won 3 in a row now. LA and Tampa, Toronto and New York. St. Louis is probably the most fun team to play with so far because of their catcher, Hank Conger, who's a +4 arm. And yeah, he's that bad. But for some reason, the RNG likes him because he throws out more runners than they steal on him. So he's pretty fun to play with. All right, let's look at the other side. Texas and Milwaukee would get the byes in this side. Miami against New York would be good. Houston and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, I feel like, is going to move up the standings pretty quickly. That's an underachieving team. They've got Charlie Blackmon leading off. It's a pretty good lineup. I'm not sure why they're losing at this point, but I feel like they're a team that's going to make a rise in the standings later on. Chicago and Cleveland should be fun. And Baltimore's a pretty fun team to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run deep into it. All right, so let's look at some other things. So this is my statistics Excel spreadsheet. And so the way I've set this up, it's kind of convoluted, but it's pretty fun. So each night after I play my game, I come to the individual team and I input their stats. I'm not doing all kinds of stats because that would take forever. But I'm doing these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 batter stats right here. And so I input the data there, which doesn't take very long. And then what happens automatically is I get these league leader boards. And so if we look at some of the league leaders, DJ LeMahieu, who won the batting title in this I believe in this set, 2015 set, he's hitting 489. Joey Votto 480. Nelson Cruz 429. So that's nice and neat. There's 3 leaders there. Now the only problem with the way I have it set up is if there is a tie, like if you see under triples how DJ LeMahieu has hit 3 and he's also number 2 and hit 3. The only issue is, and I haven't been able to overcome this in my Excel spreadsheet, is that when there's a tie, the same name comes up both times. And it's just something I've been dealing with. I haven't had a chance to really dig into it and fix it. But the way I get around that is I have an intermediary step right here. So this is the team leaders for each individual category. And so if you look at on this column, this is all the team leaders for Arizona. So average, Goldschmidt's hitting 243. Hits, Blanco has 10. So if you go along that way, that's so if I have 2 or more people tied and it just shows up on the league leader screen as one name, I can come in here, and if we look at triples, we've got DJ LeMahieu, David Peralta for Miami. Those are the 2 that are tied. So I can quickly come over here and check out, what exactly that this is saying right here. So if anything stands out here, let's see. Will Myers has 5 home runs in the first 10, 11 games. He's been hitting it pretty well. RBIs, Kendry Morales with 15 RBIs so far for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has, there have been a couple games where they've just destroyed some teams. And so their numbers are a little bit inflated, I think. Strikeouts, Maldonado, 17. Stolen bases, Martin and who else? That is, let's look here. Stolen bases. Charlie Blackmon and Martin both have 7 stolen bases. As far as the pitching leaders, let's see if I can move this over here a little bit. Pitching leaders. It's not working. There we go. Pitching leaders for the Kanto League. Jake Arrieta with 27 strikeouts. Trevor Bauer, you would think he'd be better off, but he's been walking so many people. The ERA for Scherzer for Pittsburgh is 0. I think that's in 2 or 3 starts. I can't remember, but his whip and ERA is ridiculous at this point. So a lot of these stats, they're not going to make much sense because, it's still early on in the season. But I thought I'd show them to you, or at least my process to begin with. So we can look at team leaders for Kanto. If you look, LA, they're hitting close to 300. Home runs, Chicago is leading the way. Strikeouts, look at New York. They're lapping the field with strikeouts. RBI, LA has scored a lot of runs too. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit to look at the pitching statistics. Hold on. This is a little convoluted, and I'm sorry for that. All right, but let's see here. All right, so we have let me get a full screen here. Okay. ERA, Pittsburgh. Look at Pittsburgh's ERA, 131. That's crazy. And their whip is under 1 walk and hit per inning. Yeah, they're the team to beat, I think, so far in this KL. Not a whole lot else to see there. We can look at the AL so far if you want to look at that real quick too. The team leaders for the AL pitching. Nothing great. Not as exciting as the Pittsburgh team. Texas has been pitching it pretty well. And really but that's about it. Everybody else's pitching has been kind of inconsistent. Boston has 8 wins, of course. Let's look at the batting statistics. And look, Boston's hitting 328, 10 triples, 77 ribbies. I mean, Boston, look at all these categories. They're pretty much up in all of them. Let's go look at Boston's team real quick. Just to see who's on it and who's getting hits. So this is their team. Joe Panik is one of the league leaders, and I'll show you that here in a second. Joe Panik is hitting DH for him. And so, yeah, I've randomized the rosters. And Joe Panik, I'm not going to start him at second base over Altuve. So he's hitting DH, which is kind of unlikely. But he's thrived in that role. And I think he's hitting down in the order, too. He's hitting like 6th or 7th. And he's 16 for 35 with 6 doubles, 3 triples. He does have a homer and 8 RBI. If you look at the whole team, Altuve's hitting 441. Paulo Orlando hitting 333. Dexter Fowler's hitting leadoff with 357. The team is relentless in Boston. I was starting Luis Valbuena for a while when Altuve was hurt. But now he's off the bench because David Wright, he was on fire for a while. He's 10 of 16. He doesn't qualify for the batting title yet. That's why there's a DNQ. But 10 of 16, so I've been starting David Wright over Valbuena at third. He's also got 4 home runs. So the old man, David Wright. So we know he's going to get hurt. So having Valbuena on the bench is not a bad option. But yeah, Boston is ridiculous. Even their pitching. Their pitching has been pretty good too. Lester, 20.6 innings, 3 ERA, 146 whip. It's pretty good. So I think they'll be up there towards the end of the season. All right, let's look at the individual leaders for the Olola, as I promised. Yeah, Panic is leading the league at 457. I believe that's Dominic Brown for the New York team. And I believe he was hitting 8th or 9th, actually 9th to start the season. And I've slowly moved him up in the batting order because he's just on fire. He's been hitting all kinds of stuff. So triples, Panic, Altuve, 13 runs batted in so far. Cargo for Detroit has 11 ribbies, but I believe 6 or 7, maybe even 8 of those came in one game because he had 3 home runs in one game. The rest of the time, he hasn't done a whole lot. As far as wins, individual pitching leaders in the Alola League, let's take a look at that. The usual suspects that you would think: Clayton Kershaw, Felix Hernandez, James Shields pitching the most innings. Carlos Carrasco with the most strikeouts, though. However, look at those ERAs. Kyle Hendricks with a .56 and Jason Hamill with a .29 whip. I think that's like 1 or 2 hits in his entire time he's pitched this season. So that's a quick taste of the statistics. Let's go back to the standings just to end there tonight. But, you know, this is something I've been working on the past, I don't know, it seems like 6 months, and I'm only 11 game days in. But that's, what is that, 11 times 14 games, that's 150 games, 150 games, somewhere around there. That's a decent amount of games I've played in this series, and not quite, about almost a third of the way there, so a little over a third of the way there. So I plan on keep on going. This has been fun. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter at RNGIDP_strat. I'm going to be posting all the images for the league leaders and stuff like that over on there. It's a quicker reference to find all this information. And if you have questions about the league or how I set it up or what the heck the team names are, follow me on Twitter at RNGIDP_strat. I have to thank all those people that have been following along already. Tenacious Strat over at the Tabletop Plus YouTube channel. Espo, Steve on Twitter. These guys, they've been giving me feedback. They've been commenting on my stuff on Twitter when I post. I post every single score sheet on Twitter after I play it every night. So if you want to follow along, that's the best way to do it. I'll probably be starting to live stream some of these games here. I've got my equipment set up again, and I'll probably be doing that. But for the most part, I'll probably do maybe one game from each league each game day. But I wouldn't expect more than that. I like playing them and watching and listening to stuff while I do it. So follow me along on Twitter, RNGIDP_strat. And until next time, I'm Craig, and thanks for watching.